We have such a passion with what we do at the Functional Medical Institute of leading people down a pathway of true healing. And one of the things I was just reading here recently is that more than half of the global population will be overweight or obese by 2035. And that's not very far away, with a 4.3 trillion annual cost that is predicted. All I can say is, boy, we have our work cut out for us.
We do, and I've said this before, and it is true, and this is a sad statement. The fastest growing non-communicable disease in the history of this world is not a virus, it's not a bacteria, it's not some malady, it's called obesity. And history proves that. You go back to the maybe early 80s, and I get it, they're using BMI as the measurable, but there was one state, one out of 50, that had an obesity rate of greater than 10%, just one. And after the food pyramid and all that mess, and the government started trying to tell you how to do health, which is a whole nother conversation for a
For
different
another
day.
day.
But at that moment in time, it took 11 years for all states to go over 10% except one. And now we have multiple states that are over 50 or 60%, including our home state of Oklahoma. It is inexcusable in our system to not recognize that and do something about it, because it does lead to issues. And there's even studies that sort of go along with that about our military. What is it? 75% of them aren't even people, males 18 to 25, are not even fit enough to be able
Couldn't
to pass the
qualify.
military test. I mean, this is a bad deal, and it's almost like, I call it kind of the sacred cow syndrome. Nobody wants to deal with it.
Well, you and I want to deal with it.
Yes.
And if we can lead one person to hope, we've been successful, because that person is going to teach the next
Yeah.
person, and it's going to lead to a change in a family, which can lead to a change in a community, which can lead to a change in a nation, and generation after generation. We got to kind of dig ourselves out of this hole, but we can't change what we don't know. And we really need to begin to look at how we socialize. We socialize around food. We
Mm.
socialize around the wrong kinds of food. It's usually around sugary things, sweet
Yep.
treats, soda pops, pizzas, things that are very highly calorically dense, instead of around fresh and raw fruits and
Hmm.
vegetables, nuts and seeds, and good clean proteins, and maybe having, water with a little bit of flavored stevia in it that has no
Yeah.
caloric content to it, that's going to add to that thing called obesity.
Well, and people, when they're depressed, we've talked about that in the past. They go down the pathway of looking for food to bring medication. I mean, I'm thinking about that movie, The Whale, with Brendan Fraser.
Oh,
He won a
yes, that was a
bunch of
good one.
awards on that one, but
Definitely don't want to get to
yeah,
that place.
tragedy in his life in that movie led him down the pathway of utilizing this food as medicine. It didn't medicate him at all. He got bigger and bigger, larger, and eventually he died because of this. And people are dying every day. That number, $4.3 trillion affecting our debt, what would it be like if we were to erase that? Further, did you know the second leading comorbidity to a mortality of COVID was obesity?
Well, it's an
Yeah.
inflammatory disease. Obesity actually has its own ICD-10 code now. And obesity is leading to heart disease. It's leading to high blood pressure. It's
Yep.
leading to other autoimmune diseases, because it's a state of toxicity. It's a state of loading the system down with excessive amounts of pressure on it that we really
Yeah.
don't need to have. But we've taken exercise out of schools. We've become a sedentary society. We don't go out and play in the backyards and ride our
Ah,
bikes and play in the streets anymore. It's quite frankly not quite a safe place to play anymore.
no, and you're seeing society, and even it's leaning into Hollywood right now, starting to normalize that thing called obesity. Um, Instead of looking at it like shock, and this is not a criticism on anyone that's struggling with weight, because people do. I used to. But the point being is that it is not a healthy place to be. And it leads to a cascade of a whole host of illnesses and problems. We've got to eliminate that. I said this as recently as today. America's enemy is not uh, outer forces, it's ourself. And we've allowed these self conceived self-chosen disease processes like obesity to become normalized in America. It's normal in government, church, and medicine, and nobody wants to deal with the cause. I mean, we do. We deal
Yeah.
with the cause. We see it go reversed.
So give our listeners just a couple pointers on how they can take charge of obesity in their life.
Well, number one, you got to eat real food, right? If this is real food, processed food is not real food. So
It's unfood.
it's unfood. It's frankenfood or fruit, we call it. We help you with that, right? We give you food to eat, and we don't allow you to have a diet. In other words, we tell you, like, all these foods, you can eat it.
Yeah,
Have
it's
as
not
much
about
as you want.
it's not about calorie restriction. It's about food restriction and getting the things out of the
That's
system
right.
that are inflammatory, that suppress the metabolism.
Not deprivation like a diet, but abundance is what
And
we
motivation
teach
to
people.
eat the right things.
Yeah, and we get people moving. We get them their mind out of the gutter. In other words, get out their mind out of these diets or quick fix. Weight loss or lack of obesity, you might say, is this idea of a symptom of following a process that makes sense. And so we lead people down a process that makes sense, and then body composition adjustment or lower body fat and muscle maintenance becomes something that just happens.
That's right. So you can find us on Sherwood.tv, find out about our plans and how we can help you and your family thrive.
Yeah, there's no reason to be allowing obesity to affect your home. Just reach out to us and we'll teach you what we know and show you the pathway to true healing.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Hey friends, you already know the answer to this, but we'll ask you anyway. If you stay away from your favorite junk food for a month and then go back to supersizing it, will your health improve?
Well, that's the thing about change. To change, we have to be as consistent as possible.
And when we go back to an old habit, it's not the end of the world. We just get back at the new habit.
Before you know it, real transformation is evident to you and others.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life, and we'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.
The body's amazing at recovery, so you want to give it every chance, no matter what time it is. So in that context, no, it's certainly never too late. You're never too old to start trying to be healthy.
No matter where you are in terms of your health, that you can turn this around.
It's never too late to start a wellness program, and it's never too late to reach your healthcare goals. There's an old adage, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I really do like it. And they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
We just want people to hang on to hope.
We are hope dealers. And if you are not paying attention to the 4 foundational pillars of health, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual, eventually it is going to catch up.
If we get all those 4 areas right, and we do it right, we see a dynamic occur in the middle called wellness, and that's where people get better. Their health is really going to return as a side effect of wellness.